embedded an informational interview as part of a capstone subject in the third year of a health science and biomedical science degree. And both of these programs have a really wide range of career options available to students. This is fantastic for students because it gives them lots of opportunities, but it can also be really overwhelming for students to think about where they perhaps want to take their career and what is the best career path. Students have a really limited opportunity to connect with industry as there's no formalised work integrated learning within the curriculum. So the informational interview sits in this capstone unit and helps students to understand a little bit more about the profession that they're interested in moving into. What's important is this capstone unit sits within first semester of third year, which allows students to think about where they want to take their studies and their professional careers prior to the cut-offs for all of the master's entry programs, which are one of the logical pathways that a lot of our students will end up taking. Students will either find an industry professional themselves, or they will identify a profession that they're interested in and let me as the convener know, and I will match students with an industry professional if they don't have a network for themselves. Students will then go out and interview their professional either face-to-face or over the internet through Skype or telephone for approximately 30 minutes. Now, I don't just let students out there unprepared. We would have a 1-hour workshop where students understand professional dress, how to make an approach. So we go through and give them a toolkit effectively that has a telephone script, an email script or a letter that allows them to think about how they can get past that secretary or the receptionist at the front door. We also think about how they can find professional contacts that are sitting within their own personal or professional network. So I get students to think about going home and saying hello to their next door neighbours. And this has been one of the most amazing and unexpected benefits. And I've got this fantastic example where one of my students was desperate to be a cardiac surgeon. He really wanted to learn more about what it was like. So he went home, and as he was putting the bins out that night, his next door neighbour's wife was putting the bins out as well. And he introduced himself and he told her what he was studying at uni and what he was interested in and how this was part of his homework. She was the wife of one of the leading cardiac surgeons on the Gold Coast, and this one student ended up having work experience for the next year, and he now volunteers in the clinic and had some really amazing experiences. So getting students to think about the network that they already have, both their own personal connections, but also the connections that may be once removed. So your parents' friends or your friends' parents' friends. So the next time someone says, so what do you want to do when you graduate? The student's got an answer to that and is willing to then accept help when someone says, hey, I know someone who does that job. How about I connect you with them and you can have a chat to them? So that was one of the big things that we got students to do, was that little piece of homework, and they hated it, but then they eventually figured out that it was really good for them and they liked it. We get them to think about how to dress nicely because I didn't want them turning up in thongs and singlets and t-shirts. We offer 150 potential informational interview questions that students can pick from. We all know how important a good firm handshake can be when we're meeting someone for the first time, and I didn't understand just how little an opportunity some of our students had to really get what I thought was a fundamental interpersonal skill. Some of the outcomes that we had, so I told you about my student who managed to get work experience. Other students ended up with jobs. We invited all of the students and their industry partner back in at the very end of the semester for a celebration. We put all of the posters that they created up on the visualizer, and industry professionals were able to look not only at their own poster, but to see the others that were there as well. The assessment structure for this particular task was that students peer reviewed a minimum of 5 works from other students. So by bringing students and industry partners together into this celebratory environment, students were able to link up with the really cool industry professional that their friend had a chance to interview and to learn more about their profession as well. One of the most important aspects that we were able to achieve was that our students were clearer about where they wanted to go with their degree and clearer about their postgraduate options as well. So a number of students completely changed their idea about master's opportunities based upon the professional interview that they undertook. You need a really strong industry network. If you are going to match students with industry, it can be really time consuming. You have to know who students want to be paired with first in terms of the profession before you start asking your industry professionals. The last and most important part is that you take the space and find some funding to have a morning tea or a cocktail function or some sort of celebration that allows industry professionals and students to come together. That's probably one of the biggest things that came out of this. It gave us a really strong opportunity to give back to our industry partners by helping them to reconnect with the institution.